Hi, I'm Brian Heidelberger, a partner with the law firm of Winston & Strawn in Chicago, here today with a March Madness edition of your Advertising Age mini law lesson. Today's law lesson, can a brand ambush March Madness? And as you can see, we're on the couch here at halftime of the Indiana game.
Dad, the game hasn't even started.
Cut. So I'm sitting here watching the game, all by myself, of course, and wondering what's with all these ads using a basketball theme. Do they have permission from the NCAA? And that's really the exact question of ambush marketing. What is ambush marketing? Well, it's trading off the goodwill of an event without actually having permission from that event. So let's decide what is illegal. Well, it goes to false association or trademark infringement. The use of another's trademark, symbol, or their property or name in a way which is likely to cause confusion among consumers as to whether or not the third party has somehow approved your use or is endorsing your ad. Okay, so what can a brand do? Well, there are risks. It's really a gamble in the question of whether or not you want to roll the dice on behalf of your company. It's got to be a risk decision that everybody is on board. Now, what we do see is a lot of this going on, but we can't be sure who's got permission, who doesn't have permission. Now, the leagues, the events, they don't and can't go after everybody, but it's kind of like you when you're speeding and you tell a cop, hey, everybody's speeding, it doesn't matter. If you're the one who's pulled over, you're the one who's going to have to be accountable. Now, that being said, just because you get a letter doesn't mean that you're going to get sued. The leagues want you to stop, but they really don't want to sue you because an adverse decision in court could really hurt them. So, whether you're going to get a letter or not, or whether you're going to get a lawsuit, really depends heavily on the prominence of your advertising, the conflicts with any current sponsors that they have, and the pressure that those sponsors might apply, the extent of your use of their property, timing, and a lot of other factors. So what tactics do sponsors use? Well, sometimes they avoid the use of a trademark, like they use the big game or the big dance. Now, everyone thinks often that that really takes them out of any kind of legal issues, and it doesn't. Your use can still be an infringement of their rights if the ad itself looks like you're affiliated or associated with that event, regardless of whether you use their trademarks. So, the question really is that likelihood of causing confusion. Now, there are a couple exceptions to this. Interestingly, the NCAA, they prohibit the display of a third party's brand within the brackets. So if you're using a bracket to promote your event, I haven't seen a claim, and their policies seem to imply that if you take your brand and put it outside of a bracket, that they wouldn't consider that an infringement. And then, of course, media or news entities don't need consent to use the NCAA marks for their editorial content. But if you're a brand, it's somewhat unlikely that what you're doing would be constituting editorial content, so you want to look at that really carefully. Now, what's another tactic sponsors use to ambush events? Well, they give away tickets to events and sweepstakes or contests, and there aren't a lot of lawsuits about this, but there are cease and desist. The one lawsuit we do know of is a number of years ago, the NCAA sued Coors Brewing over a promotion where they said, win tickets in the Coors Light Tourney Time sweepstakes. Now, in that, they also used March Madness trademarks and Final Four trademarks, but they were giving away tickets in the argument that the NCAA used to try to stop them, in addition to the trademark arguments, is, listen, the back of the tickets say, you cannot use our tickets in a sweepstakes or contest just because you can buy tickets either legally or through a broker or to some other way of getting the tickets to an event doesn't necessarily mean that you can give them away from a promotional purpose, and in fact the back of the tickets say you can't. So that's another legal theory that they can use to come after you. What's another tactic sponsors use? Well, sometimes they do giveaways to attendees. And there's an example I have here, this Bavaria beer in the World Cup. What they did was they gave away orange lederhosen to all the people going into the event. Yet they weren't a sponsor, Budweiser was. Now, what happened in that event is they pretty much had to throw out most of those because the stewards at the event told everybody to take them off before going in. So, What else is a tactic people use? Well, sometimes a legal disclaimer like this ad is only sponsored by us and no other third party, but courts don't always find those disclaimers effective, and often they don't. Those are kind of a belts and suspenders approach. I definitely think that they're good and useful if you are doing something that's in a gray area, and a court might uphold them, but we have to be very careful about relying on disclaimers themselves. Now, what another tactic is that's often used is sponsoring an athlete, and we see here this garish yellow shoe in the last London Olympics, which is unbelievably successful for Nike. But let's be careful about that too, because use in that manner may be prohibited by a sanctioning body. The athletes could get in some form of trouble, and there's a lot of restrictions on the sanctioning body in terms of size and placement, so it's not always something that you're going to get away with. Nike was very lucky and very smart to do that in the London Olympics, but you won't necessarily be that lucky. Now, other things to be aware of in the NCAA, current athletes who are in college will lose their ability or eligibility to play if they appear in one of your advertisements. So you're really not going to be able to use a current athlete other than maybe sponsoring, their jersey or their shoes as part of a team sponsorship. Now, finally, the Olympics athletes are not allowed to appear in advertising or promotion the weeks leading up to the Olympics or during the Olympics. So that's it for the March Madness edition of this Advertising Age mini law lesson. If you need to see more videos, go to youtube.com/Adage or youtube.com/Brian Heidelberger, where you can see other videos in this area about things like the Harlem Shake, the .com disclosures, brands' use of Vine, Pinterest, and Facebook, and other exciting stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in. Just remember, until next time,
Go Indiana!